Hello and welcome to the Ask Aviator episode number 33. It is January 21st, and we are about 2 weeks behind in doing this. January 7th was my birthday. We were supposed to do a beautiful live stream from our Denellen location at X-Ray 35, Marion County Airport, and there's no internet there. Well, there's no internet. It's that we have 500 megabits down by 150 megabits up here. We pay a ton of money to be able to do this live stream, and it's barely enough power to run it because we stream on 2 or 3 different platforms at a time. I think we're on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube right now. And so in order to have enough up bandwidth, we just couldn't do it at the Denellen. So we put it off for a week. And then last week, I had a fever for 6 straight days. So my apologies for not being here. But we're back. And we're better than ever. As you guys can see, we're in a new location. Dan the Man Maffett, the gentleman who's behind all the incredible videos you guys have been seeing, has been hard at work setting things up. And if you look over this side over here, there's a beautiful kit fox, and it has some fancy new things protruding from the top that you guys haven't seen yet. So expect to hear more about that in the next Aviator Family episode. We are here with a very interesting show tonight. It's quite a bit different than it was a few weeks ago because things have changed at Aviator, as they always do. We're always developing and doing our very best to keep things new for you guys. So thanks to random people who walked into the hangar over the last 30 minutes, we now have a very complete show. It was going to be just me and Kate talking the whole time, and we'll still do some of that and answer your questions. I'm going to bring Kate in now. Come on, Kate. Come say hi. We're going to say hello to all you guys. We've got Eric Sheridan, GM CR120, Charlie Walsh, Nick Griffith, Eric Bangston. Yes, I've been eating that venison jerky. Thank you, my friend Jason Ham. In fact, I think AJ has made that the primary part of his diet. Leanne Trout's here, as is Derek. And yeah, guys, thank you all very, very much for being a part of this and for joining us. Kate, welcome back to the show. You're in the big kid part of the show now.
Oh, no, not for long. It's not where I belong. How do you see that? It's so tiny.
The only thing on my body that still works properly, not the only thing, but one of the only things are my eyeballs. So I'm thankful for the fact that I can actually see. The screen is like a little messed up. It's about 6-point font at about 15 feet away. So FAA, if you're watching, I'm still good to go on my medical. But it says check audio gains. What's going on with the audio? Do we have an issue? I don't know. Dan's listening. Dan's listening. Starfighter, John's not with us today. Sorry, Mr. Hare is not here.
Mr. Hare.
He's very missed. But we've got lots of questions coming in from people. Do you want to describe one of the questions that came through earlier, and I'll do my best to answer it? Or do you want me to ask it to you?
No, I'll ask the question, and you can answer it.
Oh, hang on. Before we do, friend of the stream, paramotor pilot, Aviator. What would you call him? He decided to come and spend a month with us as the general do-gooder.
He's becoming Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah, he's basically doing all the projects that we've been putting off. He's been helping Alex a ton. Mr. Dave shipped us a bottle of Woodford, and by shipped, I mean he hand-carried this. So
I'm sure you will enjoy that.
Yes, it's that time of the evening. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it, man.
Dave's behind the scenes right now.
He is indeed. So we had a question come through about the MY19 and MY20 exhaust. Do you want to?
All right. So it seems one of the questions of the month is, will my MY19 motor get an MY20 exhaust as warranty replacement?
Actually, let's go one step further. The question more specifically was, if my MY19 exhaust is still good, can I get a free MY20 exhaust?
Oh, was that the question?
That was the question.
Oh, I misunderstood the question.
Yeah. So
Eric's going to answer that one.
I have to, okay. So...
Good cop, bad cop.
The answer from Vitarazi is no. If your MY19 exhaust is good, silly puppy. He was looking straight up like Simba earlier. He was like saying another. It was pretty.
Answer the question.
Okay.
Focus.
So Vitarazi's answer is no. If you don't have a broken exhaust, you're not going to get a free exhaust. We have had very few issues with our MY19s as compared to the prior years. My MY19 is still perfect. No issues. Most of our school ones have been good. There are certainly is a failure rate, but so far our understanding is that there is no trades for a newer generation exhaust. It's not a recalled item. There is a potential of a new brass ring, some change there, but I've not received a package of those yet. Actually, I take that back. We do. So we do have updated brass rings. What are you doing over there?
I'm fondling things.
Stop it!
I'm trying to make it work, and it's sliding, and it's driving me crazy, and it won't stop sliding down. I'm just gonna hold it. It's okay. It's gonna be fine. I'm sorry. It's fine.
So so that's the answer. It's not a recalled part. They believe the MY19 exhaust is still a fine exhaust. We've had similar experiences where it's been very good to us. The brass rings have been updated and should help even more on the MY19s. And there are other update packages that we do have in stock. We're in the midst of trying to figure out the best ways to get those to our customers. And we should have an announcement for you guys next week. So, GMCR120 says MY19 is an exhaust. It's a variant of the exhaust. It's a 4-spring variant of the original exhaust, except it fits the electric starter also. All right.
Just a variant.
So we're going to talk to Chris tonight. We're going to talk to a very special guest who's been dying to come on this show. In fact, he drove down here especially for this. He claims,
just for the show.
Yeah, he claims
just
it was for other reasons,
guys.
but I don't believe it. So we'll bring both those guys on and talk some. But tell us about Aviator since the holidays, since obviously people haven't heard from us since the 21st of December.
So things have been going crazy. We have done, for one, we started our new school, which I actually haven't been to, and I'm kind of bummed about that. I have him to blame. He was supposed to fly me up like 5 different times, and he keeps taking the cameraman.
I know. Well, don't blame me then. Blame Jesus.
He does look a lot like Jesus. Which will eventually pay off because Dan's been working like crazy to make some awesome videos.
I can't wait to show that video.
I'm excited about it.
Oh.
You guys are going to love it. So we opened up a new school, and so far, only good reviews. Students have loved it.
The crew
Our
that
people
was
are
up
amazing.
there, and I'll talk more about it with Chris because there was a moment where I almost cried. In fact, I think there were tears.
You can be honest. It's okay.
Dude, it's an incredible experience to see a dream that I've had for so long kind of brought to life by just the best people.
Slowly but surely.
So, yes, we opened.
How does that feel, by the way? Like, can you even express like what?
It feels
Watching
unreal. It literally feels like it's not possible that it's real. Because for so many years, Aviator was kind of brought along by myself and Travis and my brother and Kyle and all of us working 90 hours a week trying to keep up, trying to make sure that things happened. And now we have such a great team of people around that I'm like, hey, here's our vision for 2020. And then a week later, I'm like, oh, crap, we've already accomplished so much of it. And it's just people who are taking the vision that I had for growing the professionalism of the sport and teaching better and being more focused on the individual clients and watching them actually do it. It's trippy.
Coming to life?
Yeah, it's really freaking trippy. So Tom Kubat says that my hair is too short.
What?
I just want to point out, Tom, first off, I have a boy haircut. I'm just kidding, Tom. He has the most beautiful hair. Have you seen his hair?
Dude, it's not fair.
No, the only person who has better hair is my wife, I think. Her hair is like on point right now.
She does. But she's got like these gorgeous red half curls.
But my hair is actually about 3.5 inches too long right now, and I'm going to keep it all cockatooed up here in a second. So
you want me to get you some gel so you can just run it through full on mohawk?
I've been texting my barber for like 5 days. No, like 2 weeks now, and I'm like, the last time. Okay, so this is a funny story. It's not actually funny. I should probably not preface it that way. The last time my barber ghosted on me, he was killed.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, like the last time my barber ghosted, when I was like texting.
That escalated way too fast.
He got in a fight with an Uber driver, and the Uber driver shot and killed him.
There's no way. Are you serious?
True story. It happened in Dundee. This is my barber, dude. Like, I was really sad. He was a great barber. Probably shouldn't have gotten in fights with Uber drivers, but like that's a true story. Like
that's really sad.
So Jesse, if you're out there, bro, please call me. I'll make sure that you're all right.
You're not talking to the.
No, the live barber. His name is Jesse. He's awesome.
Okay. Just making sure.
But yeah, I know that kind of.
Wow, that escalated really fast.
A little quickly.
That took a turn. I wish I could see the chat as well as I can on a normal day.
All good. We got Torqued Off in here. Torqued Off is joining us in Denellen. He won the giveaway on Tucker's channel.
Why do I recognize his name?
I'm curious if anyone wants us to do more giveaways like that. If we should do more free trainings.
You can train me?
Yeah. What I thought about doing one of two things. So obviously with all the push that we're doing with the Aviator family episodes, the bush plane, trying to bring in more and more people into the Aviator family, I think we might do a merch drop and do a giveaway ourselves, or we'll let Tucker do a giveaway.
For a training, you mean?
Yeah.
For a training slot?
Yeah, or we'll let Tucker give another one away, or we'll let Expedition Overland give one away. Because
that would be cool.
if people aren't watching Expedition Overland series, guys, I can't encourage you enough. Their stuff is... It's staggering. It really is. They are incredible filmmakers, and they took the paramotors down to Mexico. They aired an episode recently where they're flying them through Rainbow Canyon.
Did they finish releasing the rest of them?
I don't think so. I think they had like 12 episodes. They're up to 10 or so. So Thursday nights.
I like the idea of doing it through XO. It opens up a whole new...
It's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world. And
just look at the stars.
Cue Disney music.
That's right.
Please don't sing.
I'll sing if I want to.
No. Don't do that. All right. Whoever's on here, feel free to drop a comment, say hello. Eric's going to answer some questions with Chris. And
I am.
Which, are we bringing him in? Where did he go?
Chris disappeared, but we'll bring our other guest in. It's fine.
We'll bring our other guest in. Oh, he's hiding in Eric's office.
He's hiding in my office.
Also, what do you guys think of the new scene? Dan the man really did a pretty great job setting up with the help of some very important crew members.
It's pretty beautiful.
We have a few different... we have Eric's race car plane, basically.
No, that's my commuter. That's my Honda Accord. It just happens to fly upside down and really, really fast.
I love this plane. We have our normal paramotor setup. And then we have our Kit Fox, which is still in the making.
It's
which
coming
is coming along awesomely.
Yeah, we're finally making big strides. And I
excited.
think in 2 weeks, it's going for a vacation up to the coast where Viking Engines is going to help us install the engine, which we've got some big news on that too. Well, because they have all the tools and all the parts, and that's why we'll fly up there and we'll make a cool video of the whole thing.
And by we, you mean you're taking me with you, right?
No, I'm taking Dan.
That's cool.
Oh, man. Speaking of Dan, there's a guy named Dave in here. I know that makes no sense, but he is joining us. It looks like Dave Aller. I'm trying to read your name from here, my friend. It's pretty far away.
It is. The words are like literally this big.
I know. He's joining us this weekend. He starts training in Denellen.
Yay!
So I'm flying up there Friday to meet the crew, the new students arriving on Saturday. Dan's coming.
I'm just going to start holding on to the tail. Just don't do too many barrel rolls on the way. I'm just going to hold on.
We just need a bigger freaking...
Or you could do that. And then you don't leave people left out, brokenhearted, back home, taking care of business. That's fine.
Taking care of business.
I'm sure Dan will have a great time.
Hey, huge shout out to John DeJong as well as the rest of the crew up at the Red Building at the Lake Wales location. I know that we've got students down there watching. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of our Aviator family. We had 7 new pilots this week, which is pretty cool. I guess technically we had 8. It was just a very short flight. So we've got a great crew and really thrilled to have everybody as a part of this. So I'm going to bring Chris in.
I'm going to say goodbye.
Are you going to leave us? Like it's...
No, I'm going to go
have my watch on. I feel naked.
You didn't realize it till just now.
No, I'm wearing a jacket.
Where's your watch?
It's on my desk.
Steal Chris's.
It was
Guys,
Chris's.
It's been real. I'll see you behind the scenes.
Boom. Thank you very much, Kate. All right. I'm not going to steal your watch. Oh, that's very pretty, though. It's a very pretty watch. It's blue. Da-ba-dee, da-ba-da. It's a little dirty, though. You a little
Hi,
snot
guys.
on there. Guys, this is Chris Garrison. If you don't know Chris is our National Training Director, which is kind of a mouthful, but
big title.
What is it that you do for Aviator?
I don't know. I show up each day. No, I'm in charge of the schools, and I'm over top of the 2 school managers that we have in Lake Wales and Denellen.
And your primary goal is?
Primary goal is to make sure we offer the most awesome training.
Yeah, I would say that you're kind of almost like a culture keeper is kind of your role. Your role is to make sure that the same experience that they would have here, they get anywhere they go, and you've done a hell of a job. That first class at Denellen was amazing.
It was really awesome. It was quite a joy, and it was surprising how well it kicked off and it clicked. The people were just super excited. The students were so energetic. They just jumped in there, and the training went really well. The facility is awesome. It's basically a replica of what we have at Lake Wales.
It's a bigger replica,
It's
though.
a bigger replica. It's a little newer, and it smells like fresh paint.
Yes.
But
no longer smells like diesel fuel and decaying animals.
Yeah. The facility's really nice. The flying location is awesome. We can safely fly the students, and they remain over top of the airport the entire time, which is super
so nice.
awesome.
And no crossing runways.
Yep.
You know, we've been so blessed there. I think that our experience, we described a few episodes ago with John, talk about our experience here and all the struggles we went through to have a good solid space to fly from. Our facilities, our buildings, everything was just hard, you know, every step of the way. And Marion County's been the opposite. You know,
Oh, it's been incredible. The airport manager bends over backwards.
Mike's amazing.
To,
both Mikes.
Yep, both Mikes.
Yeah. So I'm thankful. We'll make sure we get Drew on the show here soon. He's the school manager up there, and I don't know. I was trying to express this the other day to someone, just kind of what the experience was like going to Denellen, coming in on day 3 of training.
Mm-hmm.
You guys started things off, kicked it off. I was out of state, came down, flew up there with my wife and I, and you know, it was my birthday. Turned 34.
My birthday.
My birthday.
Hey.
Are you gonna start dancing? And like, you guys all came outside, and it was like coming into a family reunion where everyone actually likes each other.
We were actually planning on mooning you, but everyone chickened out when you actually taxied up with Danielle.
I feel like that was a lost opportunity.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, the security cameras really make it too.
Yeah.
So like, we could have saved that for posterity or posterior.
Yeah, it would have been worth it.
Yes. You want me to talk into the mic?
Talking to the mic.
I am talking to the mic. You can't hear me? Hang on.
Talking to the mic.
Is this better?
Can you hear me now?
All right, you can hear me now. Womp womp. Now this thing's starting to slide, and it's gonna drive me nuts, Kate. Jeez, it's gonna like put my nose on it. Oh yeah, so that was incredible. You know, the instructors we have up there, with as much as I hate seeing Micah gone from here, I think having him up there is perfect.
Yep.
Drew and Micah and
Yep.
Stephen and Nicole. Which, by the way, hi Stephen and Nicole. They're in Denellen right now. They've been saying hi. So
Andrew's an awesome school manager,
He
and
is.
The combination of all those instructors up there, they just really kicked it off and produced the exact same product here. And they produced some wonderful students. They graduated 6 students, and we start another class this coming Saturday.
we do, and if there's interest, we've been talking about the possibility of adding 2 more slots to the Denellen classes throughout the spring. So if you guys are interested in getting trained sooner and you'd like to join us, send us a message. Let us know, because it's something that we can certainly make happen. It's just more of a question of adding a few extra motors, a few extra wings, and another instructor. All of which is doable. It just costs money and time.
Yep, we can do it.
So let us know what your thoughts are, guys. We have the opportunity to go to 8 students there, which would be amazing. There's so much more space there. There's so much space to be able to set up and to, like, our tow room is massive, and it makes my heart happy.
We can tow in any direction. We can always be on the wind line. We don't have to settle for being 20 degrees off or
Exactly.
any wonky launches or anything like that.
Well, and Mike just expanded that field by double.
Yep.
So I'm excited. I was talking to Randy, our mural painter.
Uh-huh.
He happens to have a giant tractor with a disco and he's like, oh, I can make that field as flat and nice as you want. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
is there anything else you'd like to do, sir? Because it's really remarkable. It honestly is. So, all right, let's see. What else is there? Should we talk about SpaceX's launch? I mean, so those of you guys who don't know, Chris worked for SpaceX for 10 years as a launch director before he came here. Launch director, mechanical engineer. He's kind of a baller. He's got Elon Musk's cell phone number, but he refuses to call him. I don't know what's up with that. But
I'd love to get him here for training.
we need to make that
would
happen.
that would be so awesome.
I just, now that I have like this personal connection with SpaceX, because I was already a big fan, now like I watch every launch and I'm just like, yeah. And then I found out this last launch where they're testing the Dragon capsule safety stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My sister's friend packed one of the parachutes,
Oh, that's awesome.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like that really ties it in and brings it home. You know, you start to feel, so I was kidding. We don't actually have to talk about SpaceX, but
okay.
it's pretty cool stuff. I'm really thankful to have you on the team, to have your intellect is something that we couldn't do without. The way that you've helped craft, and not just you, but all the instructors have really developed a system that I built, Travis refined, John built. You know, we all have slowly developed. It's just so much better now than it was a year ago.
I totally agree. We've got a awesome group of instructors. They're empathetic. They're excited. They share that joy. They want to share the passion and the sport with people. And it's awesome to witness it evolve over and over and over again. It's neat to watch the whole process of people come in and see the fear and see them overcome things, and then, by the time that we're doing cross countries with them, and then by the time it's time for them to go, it's awkward because they don't want to leave.
Yeah, and a lot of them stick around, which has been really cool to see, and that's really where the majority of our instructor pool is. It's all past students who've got some experience and come back and kind of change their lifestyle. So let me buy a Bromaster and live by the schools. It's just pretty freaking cool. It really is. It's a special thing. So let's see if there's any other.
Did you want to announce that about Dunellen, about lodging?
I don't yet.
Not yet?
Okay. That's something we'll talk about. In fact, you and I need to sit down and talk about that process tonight or tomorrow. There's some opportunities at Dunellen for both camping and lodging that we're working on. So
okay.
I don't want to announce it till we at least have a timeline.
Got it.
So more cool stuff coming, guys. We're always working on cool stuff. So Brent Besson says, where are the USPPA ratings? Brent, you need to ask your instructors.
AJ.
Ask AJ. Ask Andrew.
I've turned him into AJ.
Okay, right on. There you go. Lucian's in here. Ernie of Letters here. Good to see you, Ernie. Ernie, I want you to know that I've been eating approximately 8 ounces of biltong a day. It's probably not healthy, but I got a dehydrator, and I've made around 9 pounds of biltong so far, and there's like never more than a quart-sized baggie left. I just keep it rotating. If you guys don't know what biltong is, it's a South African jerky, and it's delicious. So lots of coriander. All right. Shall we bring in the last guy?
Sounds awesome.
This is why I don't like having no watch. This is super weird. So
I gave you a watch.
6:11. So that means we've been live for like 30 minutes. We're going to keep this episode short because it's been so long. But I want to bring in the man with the most stunning eyes.
He's got the bluest of
the bluest of the blue. The man with a haircut that's much fresher than mine. I believe his barber's still alive.
He melts my heart.
He does give very good hugs.
A little too long.
I feel like it's really a question of where your soul is. If you can handle the hug, the chances of your experiencing a divine, post life, it's more likely.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris, for being here.
See you guys.
All right. Oh, here comes the big hug. Oh yeah, get in there. I will say though, he wears shirts that melts your retinas. Oh my gosh, guys! Welcome to the party, Mr. Todd Scandrette.
Thank you so much.
This has been a long time coming. Have you been on the show at all?
I have not done this show. No.
You've been on every single paramotor podcast, I think.
Well, the whole discussion was that you were like, hey, you've got to come down to Florida to be on the show, and it's kind of tough to make it down here just for a show. But you know what? Here I am. Finally,
we're really
on
grateful.
Your show.
We're grateful that you made that sacrifice.
Great. No, so the thing that's really special about it to me is what, today's the 21st?
Yes.
So January 24th of 2018 was the day of my first flight.
Yep.
Here at Aviator PPG.
January 24th of 2018 was the day of the most epic dick drag I've ever
No. I have heard stories that there have been a few others since then.
Not that I've seen.
No, I've been told that I have lost that mantle, and I'm no longer on that pedestal.
I still have it saved in my favorites. Should we watch it?
I know you have it saved to your favorites.
We can watch it again.
No, we don't need to save it. But you don't have to crush my ego or anything like that. But yeah, but you know what that proves is, and it's basically what Resurgence stands for.
Right.
Is you experience some challenges.
Yep.
And it's about being able to pick yourself back up with support of friends and family, and you can still accomplish great things after that.
One of the things that I think is really exceptional is you started Resurgence before you ever learned to fly.
Right.
And I've seen, I follow Facebook comments pretty religiously, and there's a lot of comments recently about people like, why don't the schools give a break to Resurgence on the cost of training? Why don't the schools pay for the lodging? Why don't the schools? And it was one of the interesting things because when we first talked about this, we're at Beach Blast.
Right. Yep.
you had a beard that was like down to, I think, your knees.
Yeah, it was mid-chest.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if you just been like, oh yeah, I follow Metallica around as a gaffer, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense.
Right.
And you were emphatic. You said that you didn't want the schools to take a beating. You wanted to support the industry,
Right.
to ensure, and like you wouldn't take a discount on your training because we tried. We wanted to support you, and you made it very clear, like, no, that's not what this is about. This is about helping people who would not otherwise do this, do it in a way that doesn't hurt the sport.
Right.
And I think that's something that's really powerful. Obviously we've discussed many times different ways we could help. And aside from cash and equipment, you usually don't want much.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's been really neat to see how your pilots, guys like Craig, come into the sport and become a huge benefit to the sport instead of leeching off of it.
Right.
And I think that because of that, they have more ownership and they actually stick with it. Because that's a problem you see most of the time when you give someone something, they just don't value it as much.
Right. Yeah.
They're in and out.
And it is a challenge, and it's interesting. I had the same conversation with Lauren Michaels down at Four Winds PPG.
Lauren's awesome.
And fantastic instructor. Really enjoyed the time that I've been with him this past week. But we had that discussion, and it's very important to me to make sure that not only do I have the relationships with the candidates that we have that go through training and become alumni, but also that we're able to build and grow those relationships with the paramotor community.
Right.
And
you've done a great job of it.
Well, it was interesting because when I first approached you and Travis about building, Resurgence and the way forward, it was very important, I think, to all of us involved that we share this experience. We've had candidates train here, Maddie and Coop and Sean Michael, and wonderful experience. And it's great because you and your staff have been able to experience it and learn about their stories and learn about those experiences.
They're just the best guys.
But it's very important that we're able to go out and we have David at Four Winds PPG this week, and it's been beneficial for Lauren and Shannon to see it,
right? And
because it really gives a face to some of the veteran issues. We hear about PTSD all the time, and we as a society don't fully understand what that means,
right?
And
unless you live with someone who is experiencing it, you can't.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's been so amazing for Lauren and Shannon to kind of see some of the manifestations and what that means, and how they tailor the training a little bit to help with it.
Absolutely.
And that's really at the heart of what Resurgence is about. We're impacting David, we're impacting the adaptive veteran community, but we're also spreading that knowledge throughout the PPG community.
Right.
And I think that's so important. And, I could not have done it without you.
Dude, you could have done it without me. You're way too humble. Just to quickly recap for everybody who doesn't know, this is Todd Scandrett from Resurgence PPG. Resurgence specializes in bringing wounded veterans into what I believe is a whole new way of life. The opportunity to experience the freedom of flight is something that's is life-changing for anyone, but especially someone who's gone through a trauma, someone who's been injured in the line of service and has chosen to step up and to continue to not just live, but to truly live. Your alumni are some of the people that I believe are some of the best people I know. Watching the way Maddie raises his daughters and watching the way that each of these people has just really stepped into themselves is incredible. And not just for their flying, but for who they are.
Right.
What was the guy's name in California who with the double amputee?
Robert Bruce.
Robert Bruce. Man, what a great name.
Oh.
It really is.
Yeah.
So this guy, you want to tell his story a little bit?
Yeah. Bruce, double amputee.
At below the knee, right?
Yeah, double below the knee.
Jeez.
Was in Afghanistan. His unit got hit by an IED as he was, his squad leader got injured. As he was moving to help provide security, he was a fire team leader, so he ended up taking control of the situation. As he was moving to provide security, he hit an IED. And, it was an amazing story just in his recovery alone. Now he's, both legs have been blown off below the knee. After his rehabilitation, he got involved in the firearms training community. and had been really active there. He had done some skydiving before he had deployed, and after he came back and got involved with the firearms community, got back involved with skydiving, and so really kind of sparked that interest in adventure sports. And I had the fortunate opportunity to have dinner with him and his boss, Travis Haley.
Oh, that's cool.
They had actually...
I didn't realize you worked for Travis. I haven't watched the video. I'm terrible at watching paramotor videos.
So Travis Haley and Bruce were in North Carolina providing a class for law enforcement.
Right.
Well, one of my buddies was a police officer, was in that class, and I was like, I know Travis Haley is a big paramotor pilot.
Right.
He's one of these guys that is really huge in the firearms community.
And he's talented at everything he does. It's very annoying.
He's one of those guys that he can just do anything.
Yeah.
But people don't realize he's real big into paramotors as well.
Right. And speed flying and
skydiving and all that. Yeah.
He's a baller.
But
might have a slight man crush on him.
Oh, I absolutely have a man crush
Me too.
on him. So when I got to go out to dinner with him, I wanted to kind of explain what Resurgence was and kind of get that bug in his ear. And as I'm talking to him, he's like, well, you need to go ahead and get my director of training involved. And I'm kind of like, and I'm sitting right across the table from Bruce, and I'm kind of like, okay, what's his story? What's his deal? And he's like, yeah, he's a double below the knee amputee. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I saw the guy walk in here.
I thought you walked with a weird limp. That's it,
And and he doesn't even have a weird limp.
Really?
It's the weirdest thing. And
wow, watching him reverse lunge was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. And so, from that dinner, it was kind of like, man, this would be an amazing project just so we can show the accessibility of the sport.
Right.
And that so many times people will limit themselves because, they're like, I probably can't do it. And they really hold themselves back.
And that's not just in your community of retired military. It's everyone in
everybody.
life. We hold ourselves back because of fear.
Right.
Because of... I mean, I truly believe anything you live in fear of, you're living outside of faith in, right? And if we're meant to live in faith, we're meant to live in this embodied life, a life that's designed to project us forward so we can bless others. If you're sitting there in fear and not doing something that could literally change your life so you could change other people's lives, what a waste.
Right.
And this guy is overcoming that massive, who are we to not fly?
And that's why I was so excited about that project.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to be able to capture that experience for people to see it and be like, man, if this guy can foot launch,
right?
Because I still love telling the story for people that haven't seen the video yet, and say, yeah, we've sponsored a double amputee to foot launch. The response is always the same. They're like, foot launch, you can't do that. It's like, no, yeah, you can.
And you and I complained about learning to foot launch.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing to see the work that he went into. He had trained with Team Fly Halo, Canyon and Boyd, such a great
Just
group of
good
guys
dudes.
over there, man.
Yep,
And
good dudes.
So if there are folks out on the West Coast that want something closer and can't make the trip all the way out here.
We had two in the last two classes. We've had guys from California and Oregon, who both been like, you do realize that we flew over every one of your competitors to get here, right?
Right.
I was like, that's a great line. I got to remember that one. But yeah, it's not for everybody.
I mean, it was fantastic, and we the training was done down at Salton Sea, and
perfect location.
Yeah, it was a great location.
Smells terrible, but
rotting fish and sulfur and whatever. But
great flying.
Great flying.
Some of my favorite flying has been there.
But yeah, it was amazing to see what Robert was able to do, and just it was funny because after he landed, I think everybody else was more excited than he was.
Really?
Because he was excited and he was happy. I don't think he fully understood and appreciated what he had just accomplished.
How big of an accomplishment. I remember many years ago, this is probably 7-8 years ago, I was at Salton Sea, and Blackhawk had soloed a paraplegic.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was just so blown away. I mean, they modified a quad that was able to steer underneath the wing automatically, and I was flying with this guy. And you could see his smile from a half mile away. It was just like when you see someone that overcomes something so big, so visceral, even if they don't recognize it yet, when they recognize the impact it has on the world around them, the people who will look to them and go, wow, if you can do it, if you can step up and live, I can step up and live.
Exactly.
You know, that's how I felt when you flew the first time.
And I think because of the dream that I had approached you and Travis about, I think I knew that and I saw it, and I was very emotional from, you know, my first failed launch attempt to my first
successful practice launch.
That wasn't even a very successful practice launch. That was pretty horrific. That was a train wreck. I think the divot is still out on the field where I hammered into the ground on that attempt.
Hey, really quick, we've got a comment saying that the mics are going from 10% loud to 100% when they laugh. If there's an issue with the mics, guys, don't hesitate to speak up. We'll do our best to fix them. We are investing more money into the podcast soon, which will be allowing us to basically set a filter to max out the max volume and the minimum volume. We went with the, I think, $300 or $400 mixer initially, and I think eventually we're going to add 2 more mics at least, and then we're going to add a much larger mixer and basically do what I'm best at, which is spend a whole lot of money to make things slightly more professional. Yeah.
See, well, that's that side of the table. What people don't realize is on my side, I actually am modulating my voice volume.
On purpose?
On purpose, yeah. So when I do laugh, it is much louder.
All right. So we've got Todd Scandrett here with us from Resurgence PPG. Resurgence, again, the entire focus is bringing wounded veterans into the sky, helping them to experience life in a whole new way. I believe that not only are you changing lives, but you're saving them. And I think that a lot of your alumni would agree. What was the gentleman's name? I'm forgetting it. He went to Nebraska PPG with
Ty
Josh
Hayden.
Bowden. Ty Hayden. What a great guy.
Yeah.
You know, watching Ty go from candidate to alumni, watching his perspective and his personality shift, it was visceral.
Yeah.
And there's a piece in each of us that when we're, and I've obviously never been through combat. I haven't been through what you've been through. I've had a fair share of traumas, but nothing to the level you and your alumni have gone through. But the reality is that once we get outside of ourselves and we start to recognize the good that can be in us, the fact that once we fill up our cup, we can fill up those around us. We can make our spouses feel more blessed. Like I could tell you right now that I flew last night for a few minutes. I landed on top of Chris's van a few times. It was really windy. It was a lot of fun. And when I came home, my wife was going through some stuff, and I had so much more patience, so much more understanding, so much more ability to be able to be gracious, when the natural reaction would be to react negatively toward anyone who's having a challenge, you know. And so I see it in my daily life. I make a really strong effort to constantly find ways to, I call it satisfying my inner child. Right, I look at us as we all have this little 5-year-old inside of us that's kind of running the show. You know, they're either hurt, they're hungry, they're tired, or they're desperate for play. And my most successful friends, the friends who I look up to the most with the way they live their lives, not just their business life but their family lives, are the ones that find ways to challenge themselves every day and to play.
Yes.
And like flight to me is play. It's the place where I feel the most alive. You know, there's no question. That's why I'm building this monstrosity behind you. Like I want to challenge myself in a whole new way. I'm not a STOL pilot. I've done a lot of off-field landings, but never on purpose. That's actually not quite true. Almost never on purpose. You know, and most of the time with the engine not running. But like, I think what you've done with Resurgence is you've created a community, and not just a community of wounded veterans, but you've created a new focus for the entire paramotor community to stand up behind each other, instead of it being, I mean, there still are those in the sport who are just throwing stones and saying that they're the best. But if you look, you know, half the time, if you look at paramotor on Facebook, where it used to just be nothing but BS and people hating each other, a good 20% of the posts are talk about how they can support Resurgence. Yeah, that's really cool.
And it's amazing to me because, again, Resurgence is really only 2 years old now.
Right. But think about where it's going to be in 20.
And and that's what's amazing. And I love the fact that, you know, there are people out there that I don't know, that I've never met, that we've never chatted on Facebook, that they will make posts about supporting Resurgence, and that's letting me know that the message and the mission has grown to be something more than just me and more than just our alumni. It is something that the rest of the community can get behind and believe in.
And we all see the results.
Yeah.
You know, we all see the results. We're not just with the alumni, but within the entire community. Like, brother, you did the impossible. You united what I think is one of the most fragmented possible groups of human beings in the U.S. You know, you've got, and I've seen it firsthand. I stopped selling a brand. All of a sudden, my friends think that I'm the worst person on the planet.
Right.
And it's like, guys, like, we had a difference in direction that we're going in business. But now the people who I used to fly with don't want to fly with me, right? You fly an air conception nitro, you know, screw you, it's a piece of crap. Like, no, like, that shouldn't be like that. But that's how it was for so many years. Like, oh, you don't fly a flat top, you're garbage. You don't fly a Black Hawk, you're garbage. You don't fly a Nirvana, you're garbage. No, it should be about flying.
Yeah.
And that's something that you've been able to bring to the community that no one else ever did. And you don't get enough accolades for it because, dude, seriously.
I appreciate that.
It's huge. And you and I had a conversation a couple days ago. You know, we started our own nonprofit, and part of the reason we did that was because people don't know you, right? They know me. If they're our past student, they know who I am. They know what I believe in. They know what our beliefs are. But part of the reason we started it is we want to support Resurgence.
Right.
And if I can get my students who know me and trust me to donate to our foundation, and we can support more candidates that way, as well as our other goals, which the big one right now, and this is an announcement that's probably premature, but we are, thanks to John Stidham, he's donating his time to our foundation to create a release form for landowners. So if you have a private property you want to use, you can take this release form free of charge. Hopefully people make donations to the foundation. And then they can take it and say, hey, listen, I'm releasing you of all liability. Can I please use your field, right? So he's putting a ton of work into that, as he does with everything he does. So we're doing other things aside from just supporting Resurgence, but the reality is, like, we just want to see everyone who's doing good flourish.
Right.
And I think that's what's great about you is you're the same way.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So a lot of people don't realize that I say we as Resurgence, and a lot of people think it's just me, but we actually do have a vice president that is a paramotor pilot.
Who is it?
His name's Brian Gleason.
I've seen him, yep.
And so he pops up every now and then.
When do I get on the board? I just want to know.
Well, during our next board meeting, I'll find out which board members want to go ahead and vacate their position, and once we
your
create
board
a
is
vacancy.
basically drinking conviction and talking about paramotors,
No,
right?
we actually have legit board members that this all goes through, so it's not just me. So.
Well, we should talk because I need more board members, so we should talk. You know?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, but no. So to your point about the inclusiveness, I was actually here at Aviator. And I got this phone call from Brian Gleason one day, and he's based out in California. And he's like, hey, I want to pick your brain because I want to start a nonprofit and do exactly what you're doing. Same goal set, same mission, and everything.
It's like, wait a second, what?
And I'm kind of like, and some people would get upset and be like, I don't want that competition. Don't talk to me about it. You go figure out how to do this yourself.
Right.
My belief was, if our mission and our goal is exactly the same, let's work together.
Right.
And I told him, I said, there's no reason for you to start another nonprofit. We can do this to work together.
100%.
And, my goal is to help veterans, help
Right.
the adaptive veteran community.
Yep.
Period. I'm not making money off of this.
No, you're not.
It's
funny because all of your records are available for the public to see. They can
Right.
see what you spend what on. And having not gone through those records, but having known you for 2.5 years, almost 3 years,
Yep.
I have seen how much you personally invested, and your wife is a saint.
Yes, she absolutely
Much
is.
like mine, for allowing you to invest both time and money into this, because it's not light. I mean,
it's not. But the goal is worth it, and that's what. Going back to the paramotor community as a whole, I've been very humbled by the different schools and instructors and donors that have gotten behind it, and it is something that we've all been able to work for collectively to make an impact. It truly has been amazing.
Yeah.
And I can say that I have truly been blessed by the community. for that.
Well, and it keeps growing, man. It keeps growing,
And
if
it
you
does.
I love, like, last year for my birthday, which they didn't mention a birthday fundraiser this year. That's interesting. But for my birthday,
You blocked me on Facebook probably.
I don't know. So I did a birthday fundraiser. I think I raised $1,600.
Yep.
Right.
And it was quick.
And it was like, maybe it's 2,200. It was a lot. It was like
was a
the
lot.
most I'd seen. And I was, holy cow. And you watch all these birthday fundraisers go through on Facebook because, I'm
Yeah.
friends with hundreds and hundreds of paramotor pilots who I know. It's crazy. And it's
Right.
really empowering. It's neat to see because the amount of good you get to do keeps growing.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'll get messages from people, and they'll be like, "Golly, here's another birthday fundraiser," and I just gave to another pilot's birthday fundraiser. I can't give to this one, and that's cool. I completely get it. I want people to understand that when those birthday fundraisers are set up, they're not for the paramotor community to continue to fund it.
Right. It would be great if maybe their friends and family would fund it.
It's to expand and get that bubble outside the paramotor community and get the exposure and get people that have no idea what paramotors are about, have no idea what resurgence is about. It's to get them to go ahead and look at it and, see, hey, this is a viable cause. This is something I can go ahead and throw $5 towards or something like that. So, if you do see those birthday donation fundraisers,
Share them with your family.
please share them.
Yeah.
Get them out there. It's not directed at you. I'm not expecting people within the community continue to keep donating all the time. We're trying to build that exposure and get more people outside our community and outside our bubble to go ahead and provide those donations.
The
Oh,
ultimate
and I'm
sidekick.
done.
The ultimate sidekick has arrived.
Oh.
See, this guy takes me out to dinner, so he makes me do this to him whenever I'm around.
So the problem is, we talked about the awkward length of Todd's hugs. What we didn't talk about was how much we really appreciate Ross, the ultimate sidekick.
Todd is so nice.
Ross.
I do like this new haircut, though. It's very snuggly.
I was going to ask you to be on the show anyway, Ross, because you're on Paramotor Nation on Sunday.
Yep.
And I just want to make it very, very clear that you were here first.
Always.
That we popped the podcast cherry a long time ago. And as famous as you may become, you will always have been here first.
Yep.
And you'll
Always our first home.
you'll always be my favorite sidekick.
Oh,
Aw.
well, I'll leave you to your business.
Guys, check out Ross Gassaway, one of our instructors, permanent member of the Bromaster family, and he's going to be on the Paramotor Nation podcast on Sunday. I was on it a few weeks ago. I think it was the last, like, December 30th or something. It was good. It was a good group of guys.
Yeah, I was supposed to be on it this past Sunday, but my internet connection down in Avon Park was horrible, and I
Next time, come to my house.
wasn't able to connect.
Next time, come to my house. You know where I live?
Yeah, you're 25 miles away, though.
Oh, you guys want to cry me a river?
Yeah.
Let's just cry. Let's cry Todd a river over
So
here.
I
I got the world's smallest violin playing for you.
was hanging out in the little Resurgence cargo trailer, trying to connect through my phone, and it just wasn't working. So I feel bad. So sorry, Dave and Nicole and
Dave and
Rick,
Nicole and
you
Rick.
know.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks.
All right, so we are pounding through some time, which is good because I want to do an hour so we can kind of share. We're at an hour now. We're just about. I'd love to ask the group that's here now. Ben Smith, great to see you. Vertical Lines, Rick, PPG Gorilla, great to have you. Let's see. We got Racing with Paramotors, Ripman Ryden, Clipped Wing, Ben, Derek Trout, Eric Sheridan, David Apino. You can't be typing chats over there while you're in the room, David. That just it just kind of I don't know, man. Are you drinking with the bourbon? Cognac. He's drinking cognac. All right, so he brought 3 bottles for the podcast, and so far we are not making much of a dent. So we're gonna have to work on that.
That was not the bottle that I brought you.
Well, but you weren't here when we started the podcast. Like when we set up for the podcast, I didn't even know you were going to show up.
I didn't know I was going to show up either.
I feel really bad because I have intended to ask you to come, and I'm really grateful you showed up because I've been wanting to tell your story to our podcast listeners because we've got I think it's almost 2,000 people who listen later on.
Right, yeah.
Listen to the actual podcast itself. Shout out to all you guys listening to the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. And the reality is many of them may not have heard your story because our audience is very diverse. It's not just paramotor
Right.
pilots. It's people who love airplanes. It's people who love adventure in general. It's people who followed since the video game days on my channel. Like it's kind of a cool thing to see. So to each of you guys, thank you for checking in. And if you have the opportunity, please go check out resurgenceppg.com, where you can donate to Todd. When is your next available? I know you're allowed to do 2 raffles a year, right?
Yeah, so the state of North Carolina is a little bit interesting. I can do a couple raffles a year to raise money and funds for our charity, and completely legal. So everybody that's freaking out about raffles online and whatnot, because we are an actual 501c3, we can do raffles. But within the state of North Carolina, if you exceed a certain threshold for funds brought in via donations, you actually have to.
It's 50,000, right?
I'm not exactly sure.
I think Florida's is 50K.
North Carolina's law is a little bit vague. It's kind of like FAR 103.
It shouldn't be that way when you're working with financials.
Right, exactly. But so once I cross that threshold, I would have to get a gaming license, and we don't want to do that for obvious reasons. I'm kind of limited to the number of raffles that we can do to raise funds and donations. So right now, I haven't really planned out. I've got a big event coming up in March that I'd love to chat about.
Well, we should definitely talk about that. But I want to put it out there publicly. I've already offered you an Aviator Deluxe helmet, custom painted red, white, and blue flag, and you turned me down.
Timing was bad.
I would love to give something, whether it's a paramotor, a glider, or a training, something to Resurgence this year.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That you can raffle off.
And we're at the beginning of the year. You're the first one. So
boom, we're going to be able to do it this year.
We can go ahead and do it.
It was July last year, and I was like, we got this sick helmet from Involo, and they sent us this custom American flag helmet, and then you were like, nah, I can't do anything with it. And I was like, well, I guess we'll do something with it. And then life happened, which is that I'm running 6 corporations or 5 corporations and the nonprofit, and just didn't have time to put it all together. And
yeah, because when you had sent me the information, I had basically 4 other offers at the same time for different raffles, and it's kind of like, I have to make sure that we stay responsible and step back, and so I basically had to deny everybody.
Yeah,
and then
tough to do.
It was tough to do, and it's one of those things that you hate seeing all those opportunities pass you by, and then right at the end of the year was when Mark Honeycutt and Four Winds stepped up and had the reserve, and it's kind of like, okay, so timing just worked out for that, and so it was fantastic.
Well, let us know what you want, and we'll try to put together a wish list and find a way to pay for it.
We can talk about it after this.
Yeah,
we can do that.
On a positive note, one of my favorite past students, which they're all my favorites, don't worry. It's like your children. You can't.
I am your favorite past student.
Lucian is up there. I'm sorry, he may have you beat. Luscious. No, I wasn't talking about Lucian though. I was
shout
talking
out
about
to Lucian.
He's in the chat.
He's my boy. So when you started teasing that you had a special guest that came down, he actually sent me a text message, and he says, "Are you the special guest? Please tell me it's you." So while I was back there, backstage,
he was texting me right before the show. So the other guy who I was going to talk about is George. Now George, it's Jorge, but he goes by George. I don't understand people, man. It's George is awesome. He's a firefighter from South Florida, and he dropped everything and spent 3 days. He and Jose is a painter, also a past student. Jose spent like 6 days pressure washing and painting on the
new hangar.
Have you been up there yet?
I have not. I've
your way
only
home.
seen videos.
On your way home, you have to stop.
That's kind of out of the way on my way
It's
home.
worth it.
Okay.
So I'll be up there Friday.
Yeah, I'll be down in Avon Park Friday.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
All right. Well, fine.
Unless you can fly me.
Dan, you want to hang on to the wing? Dan says yes. He'll hang on to the wing. Perfect.
So if I get to ride in your plane up to Denellen before Kat does, I think somebody's going to lose a limb.
It will not be the limb you want either. It'll always be the third leg, just the machete, just right to it. It's terrible. It's dangerous. All right. So George bought that helmet.
Okay.
I get a text message from Nina, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to sell the American flag helmet?" I said, "No, it's going to go. We're going to do a charity raffle with either Aviator Foundation or with Resurgence." And she's like, "George wants it. He needs it." And was like, well, for George, yeah. For anybody else, no. But George has that helmet now. So whenever you
That's
see
awesome.
him, you tell him that it's your helmet, damn it. And
He's wearing my helmet. It's mine. It's supposed to be on my big dome.
It is. All right, so you mentioned March. Before we
March.
jump into it, I want to go through comments really quick. We've got Charlie Walsh, Fabio, Scott Yeager, Mark Honeycutt in the house. Good to see you, Mark. Always a pleasure, sir. Kevin Can Fly, Kate Bowen, hi. Yankee Paramotor, good to see you as well. We've got Anthony Vella.
Oh my goodness, he is so sexy.
If you want to talk about a dreamboat, I mean,
everything about him.
you know what he needs though? He
Everything
needs a
about him.
barber.
No,
I mean,
I like that rugged look.
If you're going for mountain man, he is your man. But I don't know, Vella. It's really the Wranglers. The Wranglers is what gets you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it's dangerous.
True. The voice.
The voice. Oh, well, it's not really his voice though. That's the microphones. It's called compressor. So he takes his voice, he puts it in a compressor, and he sounds like a good guy.
You've never shared a hotel room with him, have you?
Well, I generally avoid sharing hotel rooms with past Army guys.
I just want
Just out of like safety.
I want to remind Leandra that I have shared a hotel room with Anthony Vella, and I loved him first. So.
Well, that's accurate. I'll give you that. We've got a huge group here. Chris G says, third try. Hello from Shelby. Todd.
Hey,
Good to see
what's
you, Chris.
happening?
Sorry, guys. For those of you who did not check in with us early on in the show, for whatever reason, and actually I'm going to teach Catherine something. Ready, Kate? Hit Command plus 3 times. Nope, that's print. That's the Command P. Command plus. He zooms in a little bit. The plus sign's on the top right of the keyboard. I know you were homeschooled. All right, so scroll down just a tiny bit, so I can see. We got Jeff Booth in the house. Good to see you, Jeff. You got to get here before Todd leaves. Jeff is on the board of the Aviator Foundation.
Yeah, we were actually chatting earlier today.
Super
Lucian
good human.
made an introduction for us, so we were actually chatting earlier today.
I love Jeff, and this is me teasing something that's not available yet, but Jeff is the designer of the new Aviator Paramotor app, which is a training aid.
Oh, nice.
Will be released soon. I've seen the semi-final product, and it's just one more way for us to amplify our training.
So I got to
It's
give a
sick.
shout out to Kelby Cox, because he was our candidate, now alumni, that trained
Okay.
at Skyfield Flightworks.
Oh, Kelby's awesome.
And
yeah.
So he wasn't directly at Aviator, but now kind of is, and was affiliate
he
alliance.
was
and
part of the
so-
alliance, and I met Kelby, I believe. Yeah, I did. And Kelby, I understand you might be looking for a job, so contact Drew or Chris or myself. It might be nice to have Kelby around.
Kelby's awesome. Kelby's a good dude.
Could be really cool. We got CT Shoot Flyer. Can I get Shoot Flyer in the house? Blaze is here. Blaze, always great to see you, my friend. Blaze posted the world's most British Instagram story the other day, and I was like, I don't know how you can make it more British. Do you know Blaze?
No.
Okay, so Blaze is an interesting amalgam of a human. He is a fairly damn good paraglider pilot. He's on the mini plane team, the Gen team. He lives in jolly old England. He knows how to drink green beer in dangerous quantities. We met at Kupikar, and he would literally give you the shirt off his back. He's kind of like you. I pull up to Annecy with Nell. We rented a car. We go to Annecy for a couple of days after Kupikar, and we're just trying to have a nice time. We're in Europe. Last year we flew back and forth so fast, like the jet lag never ended. This year I was like, we'll spend a few extra days in France, and I'm bringing my wife with me. We'll have a nice time. I pull up to Annecy, which is an incredible landing. I mean, you have 5,000 feet vertical to fly. It's just this incredible location. Roll up, Jack Clark, who runs the Paramotor Facebook groups there, with Blaze. And I've already been hanging out with Blaze for a few days. And Blaze is like, hey, mate, borrow my kit. And I'm like, there's like clouds and rain and like, it's an intimidating launch. It's an hour drive up there. I don't have anywhere near the cold weather gear that's required to be that high. And they're like, oh, yeah.
You're from Florida,
Yeah.
so...
Oh, yeah. Well, they're like, oh, it's an easy, 2-3 hour flight. If you want to, you can fly around the whole valley and come back. It'll be 7 hours. Have a great paraglider flight. I'm like, sick. thank you. I'll be too cold.
Hypothermia kicking in.
Yeah, no, like for real though, like legitimately, Blaze is a super gracious, good dude. Great videos on YouTube. So if you're ever bored, which I imagine you frequently are,
Well, maybe not so much.
when
but
you're not jet setting around trying to
jet setting, that's what we call it.
jet
Right.
setting. All right, I'm gonna do a splash more. I don't have any ice left, but that's all right. All right.
That's okay.
So, Blaze, glad you're here. My friend Cody Esterline, great to see you as well. Derek Trout, I haven't really called you out enough tonight. Derek won the first Tucker Got giveaway.
Okay, yeah.
We all genuinely hate him because he is the luckiest sod you've ever met. His wife is way too gorgeous and way too interesting and way too kind for him. He's annoyingly talented, and he's also one of our favorite people. So...
And I thought I was one of your favorite people.
So far, it's just becoming less and less valuable because there's so many.
I keep seeing my name get further and further down on the list. Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Goodness. That's all part of it. All right, so we're going to talk some about your next venture in March. And if anybody has questions, I want you to ready your questions for Todd and myself. We will answer questions for a few minutes after we hear about March, and then we're going to dive into the actual commentary of March. That was all backwards. We're doing March first, then questions.
You've had more than a drink then.
No, I haven't had more than a drink. I've had a drink, and now I just added some to the original drink. I'm just really tired. I'm not sick anymore, so I'll take it. Yeah,
which is good.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So what we've got coming up in March is Resurgence PPG is doing our Adventure Wingman event. And for those that aren't familiar, it's actually sponsored by Adventure Wingman, the organization founded by Miro with Scout Paramotors. And their focus is to get people out of the comfort zone and going out on adventurous trips, longer flights, and doing exciting things that are kind of outside the box, which amazingly just fits perfectly with what Resurgence does.
Mm-hmm.
Getting paraplegics to fly, double amputees, single leg amputees, that's kind of that outside the box thing. So we are actually going to be bringing all of our alumni together in Scottsdale, Arizona. And for 1 week, we're going to be traveling around Arizona doing some adventure flying. And, most people sit there and think, okay, cool, you get to go fly in Arizona. But when you realize that, it's our alumni, that these are the guys that have served in combat, PTSD related issues, the adaptive issues of being a paraplegic, or Kelby situation, recovering from a stroke, phenomenal. And he himself has an amazing story that wasn't combat related, which is crazy about it. But, looking at that, it's going to be an amazing time, and hopefully we can take that experience and really capture, the true essence of this sport and what it can do, and how Resurgence as an organization, with the help of the paramotor community, what we all are able to do when we kind of push ourselves just a little bit.
I think
and
that's
get outside our comfort zone.
That's the crucial element. It's not just what Resurgence can do. It's not just what your alumni can do. It's an illustrative effort of the human spirit.
Yeah.
The fact that you guys are going to be doing some. What are the dates on it?
We're looking right now. The dates are March 11th through the 15th.
You got to move them. That's the Florida Fun Fly. That's the one wheel races. Like
And-
we have some other big meetings happening around that. I want to go. I was going to go when it was in February. I
know.
already booked it. I already planned it. It's on my calendar.
So the issue was, and I had some of my own alumni had contacted me today, and they're like, "Hey, these dates are horrible. You got the Florida Fun Fest on the same time. Let's go to it." I get it. I completely understand. The problem is
You're one of your big sponsors, Travis Haley.
Travis Haley and Haley Strategic Partners, who is hosting us graciously, because this starts at his headquarters.
Nice.
They ended up getting a contract to provide some training in Australia. And so it's not like they're just doing some training, locally and, we're kind of busy. No, they're going to be in Australia. And
so my brother happens to be a phenomenal firearms instructor.
He
one of the
is.
best in the country. In fact, he just placed #1 at 3-Gun Nationals. I mean, he's kind of a big deal. And if
He is.
Travis wants to step in and let someone else run the show so that Travis can fly butt fans with us, I mean, Joe's available to go to Australia. He was just in Sweden where he won 2nd place with the U.S. team for rifle championships. He was just in Poland training. I mean,
If you
there
don't
are
follow
options.
Joe Farewell, follow him.
Yeah, you
'Cause
guys. My brother's
follow
way
him.
cooler
He's-
than me.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's in Vegas right now.
He's at
Show.
SHOT Show. Yeah, his sponsors just flew him out to Vegas. He's got all this stuff. Man, I tell you, like, I was just with him in Tennessee. We went to a men's retreat, which was amazing. Had a great time together. Really educational. Just more of. I'm constantly working on myself, right? I'm constantly trying to find ways that I can better who I am as a person. Been working with a mentor named Luke Gifford and working a lot on personal knowledge, like knowledge of self, ways that we can better ourselves. And so we did that, and then it ended Sunday morning. So we had breakfast, and then we go meet up with his buddy who runs a small company called T-Rex Arms, which, by the way, fantastic name. Like, fantastic name. T-Rex Arms, T-Rex Armaments. They specialize in holster development and tons of accessories. And we get to the range that he owns, this 90-acre plot in a hollow, and his buddies are there, and like slides out the back of his truck. He's got 6 MP5s. He's got at least a half dozen ARs with grenade launchers. He's got I'm sitting here going, well, and I have to leave. The worst part of this, I have to drop my brother off and drive an hour and a half to an airport that we're meeting with about a potential future location. And, which I'm excited about. It's a fantastic airport, great opportunity, great people. But then I start getting videos on Instagram from my brother, and they're like running MP5s with suppressors, and I end up coming back to the gentleman's home who owns the company, and there's probably $500,000 of the hardware on the floor. And I'm just like, I missed all this full auto fun. Like, what have I done with my life?
We all make choices in life,
I'm too focused on Aviator. I'm going back.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm going back.
Definitely.
Dude, it'd be worth the drive from Charlotte.
Well, let me know when.
Yeah, it'd be worth the drive.
Yeah,
that was sick.
don't do it the middle of March though.
It would serve you right.
So
how can people support? You guys are doing something that's never been done before. You're bringing all these adaptive veterans, all these people who have gone through major traumas in their life, have overcome massive things to be able to take to the skies, to run into the air. In the case of most of them, and a couple on trikes. How can the community at large, whether it's them directly supporting or encouraging their families to support, how can they support this individual action? Not just like resurgence in general, but is there a way they can be like, I want these funds earmarked for the March Adventure? Because I know you're going to spend a ton of money.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
absolutely.
we've already talked about some of the needs you have for equipment, and like we're going to do everything we possibly can, as we do, to try to support your needs. But how can the average Joe pilot help?
So if they want to make a donation directly for this event, if they make a donation on our website and in the comment section, go ahead and identify Adventure Wingman, and we can go ahead and earmark those funds.
Cool.
And because again, what we are trying to do, we're asking a lot of our alumni, because we're asking. Some of them are coming in, from Minnesota, and
Is Maddie coming?
Right now, Maddie and Cooper are both planning on
my
being
boys.
there. So they're going to be traveling from the Tampa area, and so we're asking a lot of them to bring all their gear with them for 1 week in Arizona. And so, as an organization, I'm trying to make sure that we can supplement them and kind of support it as much as we can, and through some of the funding of Adventure Wingman. If there are people that want to join us and be a part of it, send me an email, contact me, through my Facebook, through the Resurgence Facebook, and let me know if you're interested in actually being a part of it and being part of the adventure.
Can I encourage a 2-part option there?
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be powerful. I'm always the guy who's like, hey, make people spend more money if it's for a greater good. Charge $1,000 to come be a part of it.
Well, there was going to be some in the discussion about being a part of it and on how they can be a part of it.
Or and because I have a bunch of friends who are insane and love to run, and they do these marathons.
Crazy.
It's bonkers.
Crazy.
They do marathons, and they request donations to be able to like do the Boston Marathon. They're going
Right.
to take these donations and raise this money for charity, and each mile is worth X. Either have them, they could do that with their families, you know, to charge. I mean, $1,000 to go on a crazy cool adventure, especially if there's equipment provided. That's worth every penny.
Right. Yeah.
You know, heck, I'd probably pay a lot more than that if I wasn't already booked for those dates.
It's not my fault.
I still blame
But
you.
I am the one responsible for it. So
As we say, shut up, Todd.
I will bear that burden. Thank you.
That was the first one. It was actually in the chat a few times, but I
Was it? Oh,
decided to leave it be. No, so encourage people to like run it like I think doing it like a marathon would be awesome. Why not? You know, do a sponsored thing where you could have this be a great opportunity for people to do an incredible adventure surrounded by people who they'll be inspired by, and it can actually raise money instead of cost you money. Why not?
Yeah.
See, I should be on the board.
You should be. Yeah. I'll let you go ahead and work out those details.
So that would be one option. The other option, of course, would be to come as a helper.
Right. Yeah.
There's guys like Dave,
Yeah.
who's in the room right here. Dave has spent the last month with us, just helping out and seeing what we're all about. And there's guys like that I know are in this community who, like Shandor. Shandor went and went on the trip
Jean-Claude.
with Jean-Claude. Yeah.
Yep.
There's guys like that I mean, as awesome as Jean-Claude is and as cool as that adventure would be, I would rather go with Resurgence for a week. For me
Right.
personally, I'd rather go and be able to bless somebody. So, you know, even if they're not flying, if they have the opportunity to drive chase vehicles and be a part, I think it's
Because that's something that we do need.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple members of our board of directors that are
there's
not,
more than one.
there are more than one. But yeah, so a couple of those guys are wanting to come out to
Nice.
support it as ground support. And that's important. That's a big deal because
It's a must.
we need that support as we're trying to maneuver and provide the logistics of moving. Right now we're looking at like 23 pilots around
That's
Arizona.
a lot of people.
So yeah, it's going to be a mobile fly-in.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
Like
amazing.
Aviator on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So,
Oh man! All right. Well, guys, if you want to find out more information about the Adventure Wingman program, about Resurgence, what they're doing, they can find all that information at.
www.resurgenceppg.com.
And if you can't spell that, feel free to Google it. It's available right there. If you guys have any other questions for us, now is your time. This is the Ask Aviator podcast, which means that we're supposed to answer some questions. I've got questions from Ross and Kate. For those of you guys on Facebook, we can't currently see the Facebook questions. Our apologies. If you'd like to have your questions answered, please post them on our YouTube chat at youtube.com/aviator. There are issues with our Restream chat. We pay a ridiculous amount of money. I think it's $20 a month for Restream, and it doesn't work. So it's pretty ridiculous when you
Money
think
well
about
spent.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is exciting. Blaze just mentioned that We Are the Rovers is
Yes.
now available on Amazon Prime. So We Are the Rovers is an incredible series. It's a great season. I haven't seen the whole thing yet.
Right.
So now that it's on Prime, I'll have to watch it. Blaze, thank you very much for mentioning it. I'm very excited because that entire project is one of the most beautiful pieces of filmmaking in the paramotor scene so far. I think that the only things that can match it would be the project or the Expedition Overland stuff. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah.
Dude, it's so
Oh
pretty.
yeah. I was watching Ross and some of his antics.
He is an antics kind of guy. And then the other one, of course, is the Road to Air Venture, which is also on Amazon Prime. You can check it out there or for free on YouTube.
Right.
It's a pretty great video about these guys that decide to start a paramotor aerobatic team and then take on the FAA and go to the world's largest air show.
Road to Air Venture was the show or the video that I would watch religiously.
You said you saw it like 20 times or something.
I've seen it so many more than 20 times. So
You've probably seen it more than me.
Oh, I probably have. So I saw Road to Air Venture so many times that when I'd have conversations with you or Travis, I could discuss some of the edit cuts on how you had the decals applied to wings, but then you'd have edit cuts where the decals were delaminating and coming off the wings.
Yes, because
And-
everyone was eating popcorn when they were putting them on the wings, and so they literally, no joke, we literally had popcorn and nacho chips, and no joke, we put all these decals on the wings, and they all fell off because they were greasy underneath.
Yeah. So it was at that point that Travis was like, "Dear Lord, this Todd guy, he's like serious. He has watched this video because he's picking up on the different scenes where the wings have decals and the wings don't have decals."
Well, you mentioned that you were watching it while you were on the elliptical. Or the
Yeah, when I go to the gym and be on treadmill and whatnot. Yeah, that was my
crazy.
go-to video.
Absolutely. Really quick, Jason Sikansky's in the house. He is our other Jesus. We have Dan Jesus and we have Jason Jesus, but Jason is JC. So my daughter ran up to him and goes, "Jesus, is that you?" Jason, we want you to come work here. Drop everything else you're doing. Come back. We miss you. Chris has been trying to reach you and hasn't heard from you. So it's time. You're here. You're now. You're in front of 100 people watching live and about 2,000 who watch this over time. Actually, probably closer to 4,000 who watched over time. Ensure that you call us, bro. PPG Cat Lover, where does one go for custom wing decals? We actually do them here. So if you're interested, contact us at info@aviatorppg.com. Let's see, any other questions? Jesus is my homeboy. I don't see any other ones that. Can we drop a link to Road to AirVenture? If you go to this YouTube channel where you are right now and you click on videos, you can type in Road to AirVenture in the search bar. Greg Anthony Harris, also great videos.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Amazing videos.
He says he's got you got him beat. He's only watched it 7 times.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Greg, you got to step up, man. You got to step up, my friend.
I probably watched it 7 times last week.
Jason says that he was watching this on his one wheel and his phone froze to the 20-degree weather. He's in his truck warming up watching it. I'll repeat myself, Jason. Please contact Chris. We want to hire you. Please come back home. We miss you. We need more Jesus in the house. Ripman Writing says, does Fly Products have a 150 centimeter cage? Yes, they do. It's available on the Rider and I believe on the Eclipse as well. We have one on our Rider right now. Both double hoop and single hoop options are available. And Nicole brings up a really good point. It does not get that cold in Florida.
It does not.
Nor does it get that cold in most of the states where we are looking at Aviator locations, including some really scenic places that would just make you fired up about life, and you really should check it out. Just saying, Chop Shuey, get over here. Right. Kevin asked a good question. How many students do you have funding for this year, Todd?
How many do we have funding for?
Yes.
Oh, we're hoping for 20.
How many do you have funding for now?
We have about 4 more funded at this point. So
5.
We'll have 5 that I've got money in the bank for right now. And so that goes back to Para Addict's question, when is Todd coming back to Michigan? Hopefully in the June timeframe. I believe.
Love Michigan in June.
Yeah,
it's beautiful up there.
Beautiful area up there. So I've been in contact with Mike Cotter trying to work out details to get one of our candidates back up there this summer. Unfortunately, we had an issue with our candidate that was supposed to train at Fly My PPG last summer.
Oh, man.
So trying to get another candidate in line to get back up there and kind of make up for it.
How many candidates do you have in the line right now?
So the wait list that I have is at 34 candidates right now. And the challenge we run into, like everything else in life, is scheduling and their availability. And can they make the time to get away from family or other obligations, whatever the case may be. So trying to get their schedules lined up, it's hard enough for an individual to just line up their own schedule with the school. Now I'm a third party trying to line up a school schedule with the candidate schedule, and
it's a lot of work.
There's a lot more that goes into it.
They don't pay you enough for this.
Well, being able to see guys like David, go through training, and some of the other candidates and alumni that we had, it makes it worth it.
Absolutely.
And then being able to come out here and hang out with family like you guys, it makes it worth it. So, but so we're trying to get a better process in place to get our wait list reduced and get those candidates through. And again, we're trying to expand our solicitation and donation reach outside our community.
One of the big things you've done is you've put in outrageous numbers of hours trying to get the traditional funds, because there are lots of funds that are nonprofit driven, like not like funds as in money, but as in like hedge funds almost
Right.
that they will donate to other nonprofits, particularly in the what's the word I'm looking for? The retired military segment and the injured military even more so.
Right.
And you put a ton of effort into that, and it's been painful to watch because they're so slow to shift from, not that any of the groups that they're giving money to now aren't great. I have friends like Tommy Cunahan who are been very blessed by the surfing funds and the snowboarding, and they've been incredibly blessed through those experiences, but trying to get them to look at something new.
Right. Yeah, and that's the big challenge, and that's what I found with some of the larger veteran focus organizations like that is that if we don't fit into their proven therapy model of equestrian therapy,
Right.
Or hiking, canoeing, those kind of things. If you don't fit into that mold, they're really apprehensive about getting into a new form of therapy. And so
Aerial therapy is a real thing.
and I try to explain it to them, and that's where our community has been amazing in helping us bootstrap this effort.
They're bridging the gap.
And they absolutely are.
Yep.
And so another thing is once you start getting into larger organizations like that and larger funds, their donation periods are very specific to when they take in nominations, when they review nominations, and when they actually reward. So they're on typically they're on a fiscal year calendar. And so you have to hit them at the right time with the right application. And, that can be challenging as well, for a small nonprofit like myself.
By small, you mean you and this giant board that I'm not part of?
The 5-member board that you're not a part of. Yes. But
I'm just giving you
so
crap.
the thing is, everybody on the board is a combat veteran.
Okay, I can't compete.
So, that is the disclaimer I
Hey,
have.
Dan, do you want to be on the board? Dan wants in.
Easy enough.
And I'll injure him, so he'll be an injured combat veteran.
That's not a requirement to be on the board.
Although he has a one wheel, so he's injured himself. So, all right. Guys, great show tonight. At least I think so. Really enjoyable to hang out with Todd, Chris, Kate. Thank you all very much. Dave, thank you for the beverages, my friend. Hope you've enjoyed your experience. We have a great group in the chat. If there's any additional questions before we call it a night, George asked, how much is required per resurgent student? I'm going to preface this somewhat. I don't know what the new number is, but one of the things that Todd has done is he wants to cover travel, lodging, and the fee for training, so that it's nothing out of pocket for the student. And it creates a much higher number. I still think the number is astronomically too high. I would love to see you guys find ways to drop that, because it just blows my freaking mind, because you could take your 5-man budget right now and turn it into 20 if you had a motorhome that you hauled around and let them stay in or something. Right. If there's something like that, or there's a lot of people watching this right now or listening to it right now who might have a motorhome. Like I have a trailer that you can use anytime you want, drag it where you want, right? That could be an opportunity for you guys to be able to lower your costs. But what is your budget right now for a student?
So right now our planning budget is $7,000 to sponsor one student, and people freak out about it. They're like, "Golly, that is so expensive." But the way we come up with that number is we budget for $3,500 for the tuition for their training, and that's for a 14-day training program, which that will cover the industry standard and take care of the training piece. All the other numbers for travel, for their lodging, and a per diem to cover their meals and incidentals, we get those numbers directly off the U.S. government travel website, the GSA website. And so what we do is we look, like right now, David is training at Four Winds PPG. And so we look at, he's going to be training in Avon Park. The nearest municipality that's identified on the GSA website is Sebring, Florida. So we look at what is the lodging rate per day for Sebring, Florida. It's $107 for a hotel room. And so you look $107 for 14, 15 days. You're now over $1,500 just to lodge him for those 2 weeks.
Probably do it cheaper, like Airbnb, split housing, that kind of thing. But
which there were some other issues. We had an Airbnb set up, had some things happen, and we had to switch very last minute to get him into a hotel. And so then the per diem rate, I believe Sebring is like $58, $60 a day, and that covers breakfast, lunch, and dinner for him. And people are like, well, you could do that so much cheaper.
Yeah, peanut butter and jelly.
We could do it cheaper, but the question is, what do we lose,
right,
in trying to save that dollar? Because my goal and focus is not for that
experience.
Is not for that student or that candidate to think, I've got to struggle through 2 weeks of eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Frito-Lays.
Or like me, sleeping on the floor in the office of the place where I was staying.
Right, yeah. And, we want them to have a wonderful experience where they're not stressed about these other factors. And we want them to focus on the training. And within our community, people would just be amazed, that's what our budget is $7,000. I was very happily surprised. I was working with another very large veteran-focused nonprofit, and I was trying to get them involved and engaged with us for their adaptive sports program. And when I told them our program cost, they didn't bat an eye, and they actually told me that if I can do this for $7,000, I am one of the most cost-effective programs for veterans out there.
If you look at the surfing programs and what they're spending for a surfing program, which is like a board and a person in the water to help coach, like it's outrageous what their incidental costs are.
Yeah, and that's where I take solace in the fact that I've been validated by another very large, when I say multi-million-dollar, we're talking,
right,
millions upon millions of dollar organization every year. And they're like, dude, if you can support one veteran for 14 to 15 days for $7,000, and you give them the gift of not just flight, but the knowledge that they can do it on their own, unsupervised, afterwards, they're like, so we need to put those numbers in perspective when we're talking about it. Within our community, people kind of freak out and think it's a lot of money, because it is. It is an investment.
It's a lot of money.
But when we look at compared to other programs and what we're doing, we're actually very cost effective and very reasonable.
Yep, I concur. If you'd scroll up for me, Kate. Derek's mad that we're going too long. Keep going, a little higher. Kevin Can Fly says, why does everyone feel the need to turn this hobby into a job? I love this, but I don't want to lose the spark. How would you comment on that, Eric? Oof. The age-old
just fly
saying,
for fun.
Yeah.
Just fly for fun. Don't try to do anything else.
No, come be an instructor for us. We're looking for instructors. And an operations manager and a personal assistant no, the reality, Kevin, is that I've turned every hobby I've ever had. If I've been passionate about something, I've turned it into a business. Personally, right. I love business. I love to find ways to better the community that I'm in love with. So it really depends on what your passion level is. I've never lost the spark, not even close. I've kind of lost my spark for getting up at 5:30 and flying in the mornings.
Yeah, I lost that spark when I got out of the Army.
But I still think that there's a lot of real value. I still fly every opportunity I get. I love to fly. I don't think I'll ever lose that.
Yeah.
Whether it's being able to show students like what you can do when you get some experience and some time under your belt. Like, I mean, last night flying in 15-mile-an-hour winds and hovering around and playing, and like that still just inspires me.
Yeah.
It still makes me feel really proud of all the work I did to get there. But I haven't lost my spark. I don't know what your path is, Kevin. To me, it's all about a question of who you are as a person and what you value. And I value flight. I value the people that come around flight. Mm-hmm. And so I don't see any risk of losing my spark, losing my passion for it. I'm 8 years into this business, 8 years into flying, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So the more people I get to share it with, the better, and the better systems that we can build, the better ways that we can try to inspire people to fly safer and to become a part of an Aviator family where they're not just doing this on their own. They're not doing it purely selfishly. They're doing it to better the entire community, the better.
And I think the key to that is the sharing piece.
Yeah.
And it's why do people want to turn it into a job? And I don't know if I'd say they want to turn it into a job per se, but they want to share the experience that they had. And, in my case, realizing what that first flight did for me.
Right.
And how it impacted me.
I remember holding you afterwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And so the thing that was so amazing about that, and I don't share this part of the story that often. We always joke about my face plant and my dick drag on the first attempt. What was so amazing about my first landing is I came into land, I flare, have a beautiful stand-up landing, and you're right in front of me, and come up and give you the biggest hug. And the thing that was so amazing about it is the winds were just right.
The wing's still overhead.
The wing is overhead, so the wing is